Jupiter in Gemini, my roundtable live. It's time to resurrect these lives. Haven't done them in a while. This is my second attempt to get Jasmina and Andre on the live. And Hermits Path. Come on, Instagram. Okay, there's still really bad interference or sound. That's better.
Is it better?
Yes, much better now.
It was me.
Oh. Welcome everyone. I'm just gonna try and get Andre on again. Instagram doesn't like when I have a lot of people on the lives, but I like to push Instagram to its limits. Come on, Meta. You're taking enough of my data. The least you could do is let me have Hermit Path on my live. I'm going to try.
I'm actually hoping with Jupiter in Gemini, since that's the topic, that you'll have a new social media, something bigger than light. I hope. Something.
Okay, hang in there, Andre. We're going to get you. I feel like Andre is at sea and we're trying to rescue him. We're throwing him a life buoy.
Yes, the Pisces rising.
How was your weekend, Jasmina?
It's good. It's Mother's Day here today.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Are you doing anything nice? Moon in Cancer, so lovely for Mother's Day.
No, it's the best. I don't know. It's not as the nice weather as I hope to go outside. We'll see. We'll have to maybe change our plans, but as long as we're together, it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna, while we're waiting for Andre to join, I know he's trying. I have invited him. He's trying to join us. I see here we have a guest. I have Jupiter in the first house and I'm a Gemini. Oh, wow, so exciting for Jupiter moving into Gemini. Okay, I think I have Andre. Here we go. I gotta try again. Come on, let him in, Instagram. Keep trying, Andre. One more time. I'm actually gonna get. Oh yes! Yay! We did it!
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome, Andre. Good morning, America. Good morning, Canada. We're live for our roundtable on Jupiter and Gemini. Whew, that was a lot of work.
Sorry about that. My computer decided to not allow me to go live, so I just switched my phone.
No, it's Instagram. Let's blame Instagram. We'll blame Mark Zuckerberg for this one, okay? Mark, if you're listening, can you do something, please, to start out the lives? Because Jasmina and I are getting very frustrated. We spend enough time on here. The least you could do is make our Instagram lives a bit more comfortable. So, guys, you're all very, very welcome to Jupiter and Gemini, our resurrection of the round table. For those of you that aren't aware, Jupiter is moving into the sign of Gemini for a year at the end of this month. And a lot of people underrate Gemini or underrate Jupiter transits, I should say. But I think it's important to remember that Jupiter is 300 times the size of Earth and it has 63 moons. So to assume that Jupiter is not going to have an effect on us, I have bad news for you guys. Jupiter is going to have a big effect on us. It is the biggest planet in our solar system. So I'm so happy today to be joined by my dear friends, Andre from Hermits Path Astrology and Jasmina from Jasmina Brockvich Astrology. And guys, I would just ask you to introduce yourselves by your sun, moon, and rising as usual, and share your dominant element and modality. I'll go first. So I am Sagittarius rising, Cancer sun, Aries moon. I am cardinal fire dominant, and I'm delighted to be back here doing roundtable lives with two amazing astrologers. Jasmina, would you like to go next?
Yes. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for having me again. I love astrology and chat about astrology, especially with you two. You're amazing, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm a Gemini sun and moon, and Virgo rising, very mercurial, and of course I'm a mutable air. That's my dominant. So Yes, full of ideas and flying with, ideas and communication always.
It's wonderful to have an air dominant here with a fire dominant, Jasmina, just together. Who knows what we could create? Some kind of a bonfire, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Andre, what about you?
Thanks, Chief. Yeah, I am a Virgo Sun, Libra Moon, Pisces rising, and my dominant modality is mutable water.
Amazing. So we've got like the three elements here. All we're missing is, of course, somebody with a lot of earth. But if we had an earth dominant in this live, I don't think this live would have happened at all. We would have just been waiting forever, probably. So maybe three is enough. It was a push to get three people on here. So just to begin, before we chat about, Jupiter in Gemini, very briefly, maybe your key takeaways from Jupiter's transit through Taurus. What did you feel maybe the key themes were, now that we can look back in retrospect? Jasmina, what would you say they were?
I definitely think it was about growth of our material world, whatever that material world is for us. So there was a lot of topics about food. There was inflation, the prices of food. So everything was very big, like in a Jupiterian way. But also we had a great opportunity on the positive side to reevaluate our value system, how we budget, how we deal with our money. So there was a lot of maybe spending stuff, but it was a great opportunity to grow something that can have long-term stability. Because Taurus is about slow growth, so it's fertile. So everything we planted, in a sense, in the last year with Jupiter in Taurus, it will show in years to come. You might not see it now, but it will show in the years to come. So I feel that it's going to be long-term stability that it helped us with that, So that was very, very good.
I love that, Jasmina. And when I was doing some research for this live, I discovered that McDonald's, the food chain, was launched during a Jupiter in Taurus transit back in 1940, and Cheerios as well, the cereal, was launched during Jupiter in Taurus. So these, I guess you could call them huge, like food corporations or companies. Maybe it was slow growth, but they are huge now. Were birthed during Jupiter in Taurus transits, which is just so interesting. Andre, what were the key takeaways for you for Jupiter in Taurus?
Yeah. So basically all of what Jasmina said. Also the fact that Jupiter is the greater benefic, and Venus is the lesser malefic. I'm sorry, lesser benefic. They have this really interesting relationship about values and value systems. So I really learned the value of slowing down. I had a few run-ins with sickness, like more usual than I usually do. So I got kind of forced to be like, wait a minute, hang on, like slow down and realize that, there's presence always everywhere. And I think that's what Taurus wants us to do. She wants us to be able to be present by savoring whatever's going on right now, savoring the present moment and being able to relish within it and savor it. So I really learned about that. I really learned about, not having my mind be going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and to slow down and to relax a little bit. That was a really big takeaway for me.
I love that, the slowing down. And I definitely feel there was a huge move towards slow living. I know mindfulness and all of us trying to maybe just get out of that rat race mentality. And as Jasmina alluded to, inflation, price of property, land, everything increased. The price of food increased. Food is such a valuable commodity. Unfortunately, we also saw famine around the world, and we also saw things like with Saturn in Pisces, we saw too much rain or not enough rain, then creating food scarcity, which is an issue we are dealing with now. And again, this inflates the cost of food. But yeah, those were the key takeaways, I guess, from Jupiter in Taurus. So Jupiter in Gemini, I think, is so interesting because the ancient astrologers believed that Jupiter was in fall in Gemini. And even though I would be, I have a great respect for ancient traditional astrology, I often wonder if, if we look at astrology now through the lens of the world we're living in right now, is Jupiter in Gemini technically, is it still, in fall in today's world? I think it's an interesting thing to consider. But, what do you feel about that idea of Jupiter in Gemini not being maybe such a bad placement in today's fast-paced world, Jasmina?
Well, I was thinking a lot about Jupiter in Gemini since I'm a strong Gemini, but I also have my Gemini in my ninth house. So Sagittarius energy, which is Jupiter at home, is not strange for me. So I always have that issue, like what is Gemini, what is Sagittarius? For me, it's kind of like, a blend of it. So I was thinking, because Gemini loves to collect data. Gemini loves to communicate, what he learned, like he's a messenger of information. But Sagittarius loves the big picture. He loves to understand the deeper meaning because Gemini doesn't necessarily need to understand. So that's why I feel that Jupiter, I need to understand, but I have a ninth house. So for me, it's very different very hard to differentiate. But that's me personally. But looking objectively, why Jupiter might be in fall in Gemini is just because he gets lost in all this information and doesn't understand, what is the final goal? What is the meaning of it all? So that can be the downfall of Jupiter in Gemini. The good thing with Jupiter in Gemini is that it's a brainstorm. It can give us so many new ideas because it's a lot of ideas. So we can have like a field of new opportunities, new things that we come up with that can, something can come from that later, right? When Cancer comes. So I'm thinking, this is the time to kind of get together with everybody and understand, to be inquisitive, and get the vision will come, I guess, later.
I love that idea you have of Jupiter and Gemini prepping us for Jupiter in Cancer, the planet. I love that concept. Andre, how do you feel about that question of Jupiter in fall or in detriment in the sign of Gemini?
Yeah. So I have mixed feelings about it. I do think that, like, when we say a planet's in detriment or in exile, it's shorthand for saying that this planet might not be as well resourced to execute its natural significations as it usually would when it's at home. That doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that you're doomed. It doesn't mean that, planets that you have in exile or detriment, are damning you and you're done. It's just highlighting this natural archetypal tension. Oh, you guys didn't hear that, did you?
I did. We heard it.
Shoot, sorry.
No, I heard what you wanted to say. I didn't hear anything bad.
Oh, okay. My mindfulness bell went off. It goes off every 15 minutes. Sorry about that.
That would be very important for the Jupiter and Gemini transit to keep your mindfulness bell going.
Yeah, but so with this transit, just to look at the natural significations of both just helps us understand why that would be. So Jupiter likes to synthesize and put things together and grant cohesion. Cohesion is a big thing with Jupiter. It likes to weave the tapestry of higher meaning so we can have, like Jasmina said, the grander picture of what we're looking at. Gemini and Mercury, they like to pick things apart and break them down and look at them very detailedly, right? So that kind of archetypal tension there, not really comfortable for Jupiter, especially with things that, the things that set Jupiter on fire, because that's what Jupiter is. It's about our worldview and things that make up our worldview. So it's about politics, religion, spirituality, ethics, philosophy, politics. I think I said that already. That's going to be a big thing, Jupiter and Gemini this year. It's an election year here in the U.S. So
we can expect a lot of trash talk in politics, perhaps.
Yeah. So just those are things that people usually do not like to have picked apart and broken down. So it causes these tensions, but it is so necessary to reevaluate and really investigate, which is what Mercury does, our beliefs, and not be like, oh yeah, I have this set of beliefs that's so perfect and it guides my worldview, and I'm right and everyone else is wrong. When you dip into that dogmatism, that's when Jupiter starts getting a little carried away. So Mercury comes in and is like, hey, are you sure? Because Mercury likes to question naturally. Its favorite word is why. And it wants to figure out why things work the way they do. So just highlighting that archetypal tension there, I think is good to know, but it also helps us philosophize and synthesize our thought process and our method of inquiry and interpretation. And that can be really, it can be a huge blessing, but it just might be a little more backwards or a little like unexpected in some ways, because that's Gemini's nature. That's Mercury's nature. It's a trickster. He likes to kind of go around and play little tricks. So, yeah.
I think you articulated that so well, Andre. And I think it's important as well in mythology to remember that Hermes, Mercury, was the god that could move between the underworld and obviously Mount Olympus.
Yes.
And if we think of Jupiter as being Zeus, Jupiter up in Mount Olympus up there, but Hermes is bringing Jupiter places he's not that comfortable going, we could say, when it's in the sign of Gemini. But as you alluded to there, it's showing us, the benefits of being curious. I know, Jasmina, you would agree, like Gemini's gift is curiosity, this insatiable need. And even that Geminis, I always say Geminis are the kings and queens of random useless information. Their brain is like a filing cabinet. They can open it, they can take out something random, useless, unrelated, and they can use it in a debate and shock people. They're like, oh my God, how do you know that? And they might know nothing else about that topic. They know that one random piece. And it's just like such an interesting, I suppose, juxtaposition to Jupiter in Sagittarius. So, or Jupiter, in a sign it's more comfortable in. So I do think there are huge benefits to be accrued from Jupiter being in the sign of Gemini. And I think what really nice is that back and forth movement we can expect between the underworlds and let's say the upper worlds, and that there are benefits to kind of approaching the world through the lens that, two opposing views are, they're two sides of the same coin, basically. I think Gemini knows that there are multiple stories, multiple truths, they can all coexist. So I'm excited for Jupiter and Gemini, and I know that a lot of people following are interested in how this is going to affect their birth charts personally. And of course, these are general horoscopes. If you want a real true analysis of how Jupiter and Gemini is going to affect your birth chart, please invest in a reading from an astrologer. It doesn't have to be me. If it's not me, it should be Jasmina or Andre. But definitely, especially if you're a mutable sign, that means if you're Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, I think you are going to be very interested in this Jupiter and Gemini transit, but it's going to affect everyone. So how about we start from the top maybe, and if anybody watching wants to drop their rising sign. I just see that Mark says Jupiter will trine Pluto and Aquarius for a bit of an explosive beginning. Oh wow, yes, that is so true, Mark. Looking at Jupiter's ingress, I guess we could talk briefly about that before we begin the rising signs, that when Jupiter enters Gemini, it's important to remember that Venus and the Sun will already be in Gemini. So it's going to be very busy energy the end of May. June is going to be busy socially, and just social media is going to be on fire for sure. Lots of social invitations and buzzy energy. And there is that beautiful trine to Pluto. So huge transformations, perhaps. And as Jasmina you said at the start, you know, is it going to be the birth of a new social media app? I would absolutely love if it was, or perhaps maybe they're going to revolutionize an existing app. Is it going to revolutionize the way we communicate? All of that is yet to be known. And we have to remember that Uranus is still in Taurus when Jupiter enters Gemini. So there's still lots of kind of themes around land and resources and food going on, an undertone to all of this energy. So Aries rising, they're going to have Jupiter and Gemini in their third house. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Jasmina, what's your take on this? And Andrea, if you have anything different, maybe you could jump on Jasmina's. We might just take them every second one or something. Jasmina, would you like to go ahead with that one?
Yes. Yeah. So for Aries risings with the Gemini in the third house, it's all about expansion of the mind. So, you know, it's about learning new things. It's about learning how to communicate better, or maybe, you know, in a different way. Jupiter is also, you know, as Andrea mentioned, is about our belief system. So this can also reflect, because third house, you always have to look at the opposite axis, because it's like a reflection, right? So how will this expansion of our mind be affected with our belief system, right? Because this is what Jupiter believes in. I feel that for Aries rising, it's a great opportunity to upgrade if they want to learn something new, or if they want to understand the significance of siblings and neighbors. Like, what does that mean in your life? You know, that can expand. You can change your neighborhood in a sense, or it can affect your siblings in a way. So there can be some huge growth within your siblings' families. Maybe your sibling will get a kid. It's like a wider picture of it, right? So it doesn't have to be maybe specifically to them, but number one for Aries would be expanding their minds in any way possible. Use this energy to thrive and to push yourself outside there and learn something new. That would be number one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Andre, have you anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, Jasmina pretty much covered it. It was very beautifully said. Just going to piggyback on the fact that the third house is about the mind. It's the joy of the moon in Hellenistic astrology, so it's very much so, again, that reinforces the fact that it's connected to the mind, but so much so to the point that it is it's like the subconscious part of the mind. So that's why the third house is said to be your immediate environment, not just your neighborhood. That is one thing it rules. It's also the immediate environment of your head, of your mind, and like all the things that go on within there. So some kind of message communication, telecommunications, something third house communicating might come in that might challenge our worldview, that might be a little destabilizing, but it is meant to pick apart and see how it works and put it back together to grant a more cohesive worldview. So I just feel like Jupiter and Gemini it's still very magical, but it might just be like the kind of like trickster magic that Gemini likes doing. Is like, oh, you thought this was happening? Oh, now it's happening like this. Ha 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 ha. So yeah.
I imagine as well, Jupiter transiting through the third house, if you're not used to this energy, it could make one quite scattered, you know, difficult to stay on top of communications because there is maybe so much coming in, you know, emails going astray, forgetting to respond to text messages. So, you know, even investing in a diary is something I would recommend when Jupiter enters your third house, because I have this natally and I do find I get overwhelmed with all the different communications and different things coming in, and like having a diary and a planner are really good for anybody that has this, you know, it's kind of a scattered energy and when Jupiter is in the third house. Andre, what would you say for Taurus rising? Jupiter, I mean, is coming into their second house of abundance and self-esteem and self-worth and income.
Yeah, that's a big one. Very big one, and it rules the I mean, like, Jupiter is big. It's just going to be very big. It's going to be expansive. It's going to widen the bullseye I think that's what Jupiter does. Like, you have a target that you're shooting for, right? And Jupiter, with his magnanimity and mercy and compassion, comes in and is like, oh, that might be a little hard to hit from that far away. Here, let's make this bigger for you. And that way you have a more, a way to get there to it. But with the second house, so it is about all manner of how we amass income and resources and create skills, whether they be training people on skills or learning new skills ourselves. So that's going to be really interesting for Taurus risings. I can see a lot of you taking the time to build some skills in a Jupiterian way. You might dive into some philosophy or metaphysics or some kind of thing or concept that is foreign to you, whether literally or metaphorically, that helps you be like, oh wow, I can generate resources in this way, or I can build a skill in this way that helps grant higher meaning to my life, or that helps me pursue this purpose of higher meaning that I am wanting to do.
I definitely see it as a multiple streams of income transit. If you want to do that, now is the time. Jasmine, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I was just thinking, Mercury is also about contracts and trade and selling. So this is the house of money. So think about what can you buy or sell, or redo, remake, and then resell. Or is there some kind of contracts that you can have with somebody, and then in that way get passive income? It's also reflecting the eighth house joint resources. So having a way to get passive income, or like using new skills and talents, as Andrea mentioned. So think about how can you use Mercury? You're getting the right information to help you with your finances, or stuff like that. Connected.
I love that. I also think it could create a tendency to splurging and to maybe overspending or impulse buying. So maybe don't go shopping when you're angry or upset. Taurus rising for the next year, because Taurus does love their luxury. They do love to splurge on luxury items. So Gemini rising, Jasmina, it's only fair that you start us off on this one.
I mean, this is a very good, because when you have Jupiter transiting your first house, you always feel more optimistic and more joyful and more just feeling blessed. But also you're over-impulsed. You might gain more weight. So this is about your body, your first house. So
they say expand the mind or expand the waist when Jupiter is in the first house.
That's exactly what it is. So I like that one. That's very funny. So Gemini rising, think about how can you for them it's also going to be like more playful, more scattered, because that's the way just they are as a Gemini rising. You want to communicate, you want to get this, and you might be overwhelmed with all these connections, or having this person, that person. What is to find the difficulty to prioritize things, because you want it all. So that's going to be maybe an issue. So choosing two things always fails with all the Geminis, because you have so many in your plate.
Yes. They're going to be inundated with offers, maybe, or people pulling at their energy as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So for Jupiter, I always tell everybody it's quality over quantity. So instead of having anything, choose two that are the best ones for you at the moment. So that's going to be a good thing for you.
I love that, Jasmina. And I also think because the first house rules the physical head, I believe when a planet transits the first house, especially a planet like Jupiter, and if you have an air ascendant, Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, you're going to have more overthinking. And I just think that these people are after coming out of a Jupiter in the 12th house transit, where they did a lot of like deep, maybe introspective questioning and reflection, and now there could be a lot more buzzy energy in the physical head. So I do think grounding will be very important for Gemini risings this year. If you're a Gemini rising, it might be time to learn to meditate. If you didn't learn to meditate when Jupiter was in your 12th house, I don't know what to say, guys. I mean, come on. It's time to learn to meditate, Gemini risings, because they're going to need to they're going to need to bring it all down, because it's like almost, you know, too much, like information overload is what I feel like when Jupiter comes into your first house and you've got air in the ascendant. Andre, is there anything you'd like to add to that for Gemini rising?
Yeah. So the first house is usually our physical body and our psychology, right? So I just see this as being a very internal transit for Gemini risings. I think they are going to come into contact with, like, face to face, with their usual, you know, manner of inquiring into things. They're going to come face to face with a deconstruction of philosophical principles. It can be in any of the areas that I mentioned earlier. It can be politics, religion, philosophy, metaphysics, whatever. But they're going to come face to face with that, like, destabilizing sort of thing that Gemini does, because it's the mutable air sign, so it's flying everywhere, right? And it doesn't destabilize to be rude or anything like that. It is literally just asking questions, but it asks the right questions, and it asks, like, okay, why is this the way it is? I want to figure out how this works, and we can decide if we're just going to be mischievous with it and just break it and then, like, not put it back together. But really, it's to question the status quo. I think this is just in general too, with Jupiter and Gemini, questioning the status quo. I just feel like this is going to really come through for a lot of our Gemini rising friends, and they're going to come into contact with that, like, you know, the cause and effect of questioning that status quo, because, like you mentioned earlier, Jupiter is very happy on Mount Olympus, where everything is picturesque and beautiful and shiny, and Gemini is like, Mercury is all over the place, and it brings in that darkness by questioning to the very light, sunny place of Olympus. So that's going to be a big one, and that it might be confusing, it might cause some pandemonium, but again, it's to engender a more positive worldview. So coming into contact with those foreign concepts that might really change things and might invite us to sit down for a second and be like, okay, we need to really think about this, i.e. meditate on it to integrate that. And I think it'd be important to mention Jupiter actually has a decan in Gemini. It is the first decan, and the Golden Dawn corresponds it to the Eight of Swords in Tarot. And that is a card with, you see a woman who has her hands, who's kind of bound, but the binds are loose, and she's surrounded by swords, and everything's kind of muddy, and she's blindfolded. So everything just looks generally confusing, but the thing about the swords is that they're spaced in a way that she can walk out of them anytime, and she can just shake her shoulders a little bit and release those bonds. So it is about that overabundance of information coming in that we need to take an objective distance away from and analyze to unmuddy things so we can continue on our journey, because that's what Jupiter really wants us to do. We're on a quest with Jupiter. So this might just be a bit of a stop, more than usual, on that quest to just really understand what's going on.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, 100%. Jupiter, when it transits the first house, you know, there is probably this, oh, it's going to be amazing. But I do think we have to remember that Jupiter is in Gemini here. And as we discussed earlier, it's going to bring people to the underworld as well. Gemini is included. And this concept as well of Jupiter expanding the waistline or expanding the mind, I do think, you know, when your mind expands and you're opened up to new thoughts and ideas, you know, it's a sensitive time. We can try and numb that sensitivity by eating more or drinking more whatever, partying more. So I do think it's actually a time where Gemini risings need to kind of be discerning and gentle with themselves. Because Gemini energy is a lot to handle on its own, never mind with Jupiter in the equation. So I do think, like, Gemini risings need to move forward with, like, an air of optimism and an air of discernment as well for this transit. So
that's
we're
the biggest keyword.
Yeah. So with Cancer rising, they have Jupiter coming into their 12th house. Jasmina, do you want to? Oh, wait, sorry, Andre, you're first for this one. I'm getting mixed up now. Sorry, Andre. 12th house king, Pisces rising. The 12th, Pisces is the 12th sign, guys. So, you know, they are so wise. They have accumulated so much, the wisdom of all the other signs. So, Andre, I mean, 12th house energy, 12th house transits, even if it is Jupiter, 12th house transits are never a picnic.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, it's that liminal space. The 12th house kind of makes us feel like we might be wandering around, like we're kind of aimlessly lost a little bit, and we're trying to figure out how to get our bearings. It's a house that's not configured to the ascendant by any kind of major aspect. It's an aversion to the ascendant, so that makes it dark and hard to see. So we have to find a way to navigate that place with other eyes that are not our physical eyes. We have to learn how to navigate with our inner eyes. Thank you. Yeah, it's a place that you really need to learn how to see, because if you don't, it is the place of mental health, mental suffering, and I don't say this to like be scary or any of that, but that's what the 12th house signifies. Mm-hmm. So it is really a place that invites us to sit down again, like you were talking about earlier. We really must learn how to meditate. I think everyone should learn how to meditate, but 12th house people especially. They need to learn how to have some kind of grounding practice. We need to learn how to have some sort of way to sit still, because if we keep going and going and going, what we're going to end up doing is running into the same situation over and over again, hitting our head against the same wall until we realize, oh, I need to do something different. And that's the 12th house's natural signification of Saturn's joy there. But Jupiter coming there, I feel like it could be a very benevolent light, like the torch of the guru coming through and being like, okay, we need to clear out some cobwebs here, because the 12th house is a place of psychological and subconscious blind spots and self-sabotage. So Jupiter coming through here might be like, hey, you know, you might be self-sabotaging yourself by doing X, Y, Z. With a 12th house of Gemini, Cancer risings do have a lot of thoughts, but they're kind of internalized as feelings. Water and air don't really interact at all, except via square, if they do have an aspect. Otherwise, they're an aversion to one another. So you can have these feelings, but then learning how to communicate them is a totally different thing. So really having that time to look at that connection between what do I feel and what should I say, what do I need to say, it's going to be really marked, I think, here. But Jupiter again wants to grant us cohesion. He wants to bless us with understanding. So it might be a little uncomfortable, but again, Jupiter is teachers and gurus and sages, and it is also the torch of the guru that helps light our way. And so that is what we want to do. I
think you've made a good point there that I meant to mention at the start of this live. I believe Jupiter, of all the transits, Jupiter can often be indicative of a person entering your life who is Jupiterian. So if you're a Cancer rising, don't be surprised if a larger than life person comes in and triggers this deep introspective period for you this year. You know, sometimes the planets come in the form of people. I know Cosmic Navigator always says that, you know, look in your chart and see who's Mars right now in my life. Who's Saturn? It's such an interesting way to look at the planets. Jasmina, what's your take for Cancer rising?
Yeah, Andrea is beautifully said as always. I always think of Andrea as a poet among astrologers. I love it.
Thank you. Oh, I love you guys.
I just want to add something shortly, something small. The 12th house is also a house of dreams. So the Jupiter goes there. The dreams might be bigger than life, larger. Like you can make messages. It's Jupiter in Gemini, messages to dreams. So I would have like a dream journal. I would take, in the next year, I would see what my dreams want to tell me. That can be like a subliminal messages coming through our dreams. And second thing is connecting with somebody, as Andrea mentioned, the guru, some mentor that can help you deal with all these thoughts you have. So it could be a therapist, the classic one, or anybody else that you feel connected, that you can converse, that you feel comfortable as a Cancer rising. You need to feel comfy with them.
Wow.
You know, they need to connect. And then if you have somebody and as a mentor that way, then you can communicate your thoughts and all these worries or whatever that means, or the dreams or everything that Andrea mentioned. I think that would be a very beneficial. That's all.
That's a lovely idea, Jasmina, even having a dream journal. And I also think Jupiter in the 12th house is really beautiful spiritual protection. So I would say, you know, don't fear this. This is benevolent energy. And as well, I think it'd be a lovely time if someone is open to this, to connecting with your ancestors, things like that, connecting to maybe the unseen, higher powers. And also the whole 12th house serve or suffer. You know, we can suffer through a 12th house transit, or we can be like, you know what, I'm going to go out and do some higher service. I'm going to help people who are less fortunate than me. I'm going to actually do something for the greater good. It could, you know, it could signal a time in your life where you're like, you know, I'm going to get involved in a higher cause. That can often happen, I think, when Jupiter is moving through the 12th house as well. But certainly a time to sit with things and see what comes up. So we have Leo rising, Jasmina, the fire sign, Leo rising. They're going to have Jupiter in their 11th house.
Yes, this is absolutely gorgeous placement for me. I love the 11th house. It's actually where Jupiter is at home in a sense, right? This is like, right, you can tell me in tradition Jupiter being in the 11th house. So it's a very good to definitely try to find your tribe. Somebody you feel some group or community that you feel that you can be yourself, express yourself, because you're Leo rising. You need to feel that you need to express your creativity. So somebody who will acknowledge that and realize that what you need to do, or maybe just volunteering as a leader, or start your own group, and you can be your true leader as you are. So think about that. It could be, you know, and I'm trying to be very practical here.
Yeah,
so
and I think you've made a really good point there. Even if you are someone with social media content and you're a Leo rising, this is a really productive, fruitful time for content creation or sharing ideas online or communicating. Yes. And I also think some Leo risings, you know, at least that I've read for, Leo risings are such attractive, warm energy. You know, they need to be seen, they need to be heard. Yet so many Leo risings have some kind of, you know, reticence about putting themselves out there, some insecurities about being seen, or they might play it small. So Jupiter in the 11th house, Jasmina, as you've alluded to, that could help them kind of come out of themselves more and like embrace the fullness of their personality and be, you know, be their true, authentic Leo self. Because sometimes when Leos are their full self, they're accused of being, you know, proud or egoic, or, you know, whereas, you know, people actually don't realize, well, that's just Leo energy. You know, they're meant to boast and brag, you know, this is the way we roll.
They are very generous and heartful. So if in the right environment, they will show that. They will give their generosity. Just, you know, as long as they're appreciated. So that's it. So find the group that feel appreciated, they will give the whole heart to them. So I think
they need that validation, don't they, Leos? They need an audience.
Yeah, that's right.
Their fire needs to be fueled.
That's right. Yeah.
And with Jupiter moving into the 11th house of the audience, Leo rising, if you're looking for an audience, you're going to find one this year.
Yes.
Just you need to put yourself out there in the traffic of things. Andre, do you have anything to add for Leo risings?
That was really beautifully said. Just piggybacking off the fact that you absolutely right, Jasmina. Jupiter is very comfortable in the 11th house because the 11th house is the joy of Jupiter. So it is the house of good fortune. It is benefactors, friends, blessings, gifts, community, a support system, just like-minded individuals that you can gather with that you make some kind of like a group with. And that group can be focused on a variety of things, but it is that support system that you find. And I think that's really significant that Leo has an 11th house of Gemini, where, you know, because Leos, like we were saying just now, fire signs in general, they need to have their fire fueled. And you fuel that with lots of air, lots of communication, lots of ideas, lots of networking, lots of back and forth and debating. And that is really going to come through in a nice way, I think, with Jupiter here for our Leo rising friends. So be on the lookout for that. Let me just see what else I wrote here. Yep, just it's Jupiter stuff: trust, hope, faith, blessings, gifts, that sort of deal. So just be careful, again, because Jupiter is in a place where it's not at home. Just use discernment. That is the biggest word that I think that this transit can be summed down to: discernment, because there's going to be a lot of information coming. Jupiter expands, like we said, and Gemini is information. It's communication. So there's going to be a lot of that coming your way.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to wade through it and discern through it.
And 11th house is the house of hopes, goals, and dreams. So lots of Leo risings could have some of their dreams realized this transit. Guys, I am conscious of time. So Virgo rising, we're going to keep it moving. Andre, Virgo risings.
Yeah. 10th house of vocation, praxis, reputation, career. That's good. That's a big one. Any time a planet is in an angular house, it's a loudspeaker. It amplifies that place. It acts as that loudspeaker. So something to do with that sort of deal. You might be more recognized. You might be given more praise or more accolades for your efforts, whether it be at your job or, it doesn't have to be your 9 to 5, but it can be something like this. Like this isn't my 9 to 5. This is not y'all's 9 to 5 either. But this is still very much something that is a vocation for us that we feel called to do. That is a method of praxis and practice, and action and application. So really huge things there with Jupiterian themes. So sages, teachers, gurus, religious clergy people of all kinds, foreigners, foreign people. I don't like saying foreigners because it's weird. Foreign people.
Expats.
Expats. Yeah. But so
there's
really
no
popular.
politically correct term anymore. They keep moving the goalposts. Okay, so you're not even going to try, guys. I do think this is going to be an expansion of the public persona. I know, Jasmina, as a Virgo rising, you must be so excited about this, but I do imagine it will make you busier. So it's busy. It can be almost stressful energy too in that sense. Jasmina, are you excited?
Yes. I'm excited. This is in a whole sign. It's my 10th in quadrant is in my 9th. So because I'm a late Virgo rising. But I like to look at both houses just because you can find gems there. So it's about rebranding. It's about rebranding yourself, and it's about your image, how you actually promote and advertise yourself in a world. So you can do something. You can put some effort that it's going to come back to you in that sense. Virgo risings are discerning. They can be anxious and stuff. So I think they won't have an issue with that. But they need sometimes a push to actually use that beneficial energy, because they just kind of, oh no, not now, not, they're doing all this everyday stuff and they don't see it. So they don't usually see the opportunity coming their way. So open your eyes, guys, because, serving others and getting all this everyday routine stuff, you don't see the bigger picture sometimes.
Yeah, and so I think it could be a big opportunity for someone big in their industry as well, or their career. It could be, a very big fortuitous time for Virgo risings. It's an exciting time, and definitely I think it'll be important for Virgo risings to plan some rest when Jupiter is in the 10th house, because otherwise you're going to have workaholicism. We know all about it, guys. The content creation on Instagram alone keeps us up at night. So Libra risings in whole sign, and I guess I didn't say this at the outset. We're doing all of these horoscopes in whole sign, but if you want it done in Placidus as well, it is really worth going to a good astrologer like Jasmina or Andre or myself to look at your chart. So Libra risings, well, Jasmina, what are your thoughts on 9th house Jupiter? You have this natally, so you're really good to advise on it.
Yes. So I'm traveling. So Jupiter comes into Gemini on May 25th. I'm on the plane on June 8th. I'm on the plane. I'm going to spend the whole summer in Europe in Croatia. So that's
Oh, wow.
literally
That's great.
vacation. Yeah, so it's going to be amazing. So it's absolutely great opportunity to expand your connections, as you said, with foreign people. So travel to foreign places or connect with foreigners or take that course you always wanted to take.
Yes.
For Libra rising, it's very hard because of this North Node axis, all these eclipses in the last, since July until January next year. So they are very obsessed with relationships, letting go, getting new people in. So take your time for yourselves. Travel,
and they have Saturn in their
new.
6th house as well, don't they, Jasmine? And
Yes.
Libra risings
Yes.
now. There's so
Yes.
many Libra risings I know that are having health concerns and health issues now, and
Yeah.
it is not a time to
Hard
push
work.
it,
And just hard work, everyday life. So take time to get rid of, to kind of find a way to remove yourself from everyday life and all these hardships you have in everyday situations and go beyond that. Jupiter is going to give you the push to see beyond. What can you do? What would happen if there were no limitations regarding, your knowledge and your even faith and what do you believe in, and just exploring that mind. So going from daily routine to something bigger, I think that's a big push with Jupiter. It's going to give you that.
Yeah. I love that. Guys, I'm going to keep it
beautiful.
moving just because I'm conscious of time. I'm going to
Yeah.
keep pushing on. So we have Scorpio rising next. Andre, that would be in the 8th house. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So the 8th house, again, is a place that's not configured to the ascendant, so it is hard to see. You have to learn how to see in that place with eyes that are not your physical eyes. So it is a place that is very much so about the inner life, about the subconscious, about psychology, about the more taboo, sort of uncomfortable things that people don't really want to go near. It's about entanglements and contracts and enmeshments. What we give and what we are owed, the reciprocity and like the really visceral parts of reciprocity that bind us to one another. So that is going to be a big one. Again, the water signs and air signs are in that aversion square dance thing, right? And here we have the aversion again. So I say this as a water rising who has 3 planets in their air sign 8th house. This is, if you have not, you are probably going to be challenged to find your voice and to be able to communicate your feelings. Because I know we have lots of stuff that we feel, water signs, right? We have lots of stuff that we have on the inside. We have this very vivid inner world. Find a way to concretize that and communicate that and intellectualize that and make it intelligible for, whoever you're doing. In this case, it's going to be your very, very close, intimate relationships, those parts of you, those partnerships. It's as Jasmina mentioned earlier, it is the resources of others. It is the resources of the partner, because it is the 2nd house from the 7th. The 7th naturally rules partnerships and friendships and blah, blah, blah. So that's going to be a big one. So we're going to be... The 8th house is a place of anxieties and fears. Jupiter here will make us feel a little more safe, a little more secure. He'll light our way with mercy and love and compassion and be like, hey, I know this is kind of hard and scary to look at, but we got to do it, or else we're just going to keep perpetuating these subconscious patterns.
Yeah, and I feel the 8th house is really a house of merging with other people and that intimacy of merging with others. And it's a vulnerable place. And Jupiter coming in here, if there are Scorpio risings that have some fears or hang-ups about being seen, or, because Scorpios are guarded,
Yeah.
being seen, your authentic self. It's like a Jupiterian person or a Jupiterian situation is going to come in and just blow all of those fears out of the water, or bring them all up for you, your fears around intimacy or being seen or merging. And also, like, it probably is a really beautiful time to journal, or if you're someone who is open to going to therapy, this is a lovely time to do it, Scorpio risings. There's going to be opportunities because stuff is going to be you know, stuff is going to come up for you when Jupiter is going through your 8th house.
I just gonna
and that
add
is just,
something. I
yeah,
just want to
Jasmine.
add one sentence because then we don't have time. My Gemini weight is gonna say, guys, more sex, more money from government, from other
Hang
people.
on now, this is
So,
a family show, Jasmina.
it's true. We have to no taboos. You
Oh
know,
my
Jupiter
God.
is
We're all thinking it. We're all thinking it. You're
Oh
going to
my
make me
God.
blush. Jasmina, you know I'm a recovering Roman Catholic. Please, Andre too.
I know. I come from a Catholic country as well. Anyway, I just need to say it. So
No,
think about
Jasmina,
that,
it is
guys.
so true. Look, I'm glad someone talked about the elephant in the room. Scorpio rising, if you've been going through a dry spell, just know that it's not going to last much longer.
Mm-hmm.
Give people hope. That's my 9th house stellium. Give people okay.
I know, I'm just thinking about all of the Scorpio rising astrologers
That's
we know. We
hilarious.
know a lot. And yeah,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
you might have met someone around the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 7th house. Well, your 8th house is going to be lit up this summer, guys. Okay, we're going to move swiftly along. Sagittarius rising. Oh, finally. So this is going to be falling in the 7th house for Sagittarius rising. I've lost track of where I am, but Jasmina, I think this is
Jasmina.
your one.
Yes, I'm going to quickly go. I know that it's a beautiful opportunity for new partnerships, a lot of new connections with other people. Gemini loves to connect, right? Loves to
Oh, yeah.
relate to others. This is in your house of relating, of communicating, of networking, partnerships, business partnerships, every kind. You know, if you're single, this is excellent opportunity for you not to be single anymore after this year. You might even have more offers than one, and you can choose which is the more quality one, right? So think about that quality. It also, you know, Sagittarius loves Jupiter, right? So it's about, you know, even doing something with, if you're in a stable, doing something with your partner that can expand your mind, go travel together or do something together, have a hobby together that, you know, do something that can, you can explore, you know, your higher mind together. So that will be just shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice time for Sagittarius risings, those who are partnered and those who aren't partnered. Lots of new connections and, you know, fun times with your partner. And as you say, you know, multiple opportunities to date more than one person. So maybe don't settle, Sag risings. Capricorn rising, Andre, it's falling in their 6th house. I mean, as a Sag rising, I am not going to lie. I'm looking forward to Jupiter leaving my 6th house. I have never worked so hard. So, have you any words of consolation to give Capricorn risings?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. I love, a lot of people say the 6th house is physical health and things like that. It is. It is also the place of the great work, and it is just work in general. It is the joy of Mars. So it's very much about go, go, go. Let's get this done. Let's start. And it the 6th house has a habit of feeling like toil instead of like meaningful work. It's just a slog. Like you're going and you're doing the thing over and over and over again until you get results. You do, but it's kind of like a battle because it is the joy of Mars. So I see this as some kind of initiation of some kind of great work that is going to last for a long time, and or it could be a marker in this great work that you've been doing, Capricorn risings, and maybe hopefully a little bit of respite, but again, Jupiter expands and makes more of. So there's going to be some work. Take care of your physical health. You might be asked to do that in not harmful ways, but just you might be made aware of like, oh, I'm getting older. I'm not 20 anymore. I need to do something to maintain, keep myself healthy. Yeah.
And if you have neglected anything, Capricorn risings are very hard workers. If you've neglected anything in your health life, Jupiter can amplify that when it comes into your 6th house. And I just speak from personal experience, or if you've neglected your workout routine, Jupiter will amplify that by showing you, oh my God, look, you need to go to the gym, girl. You know, it's kind of energy. That's how I felt when Jupiter entered my 6th house. I was like, I need to start running again. I need to work out more. And then I was like, I was working loads as well. I'm still working loads. I am looking forward to Jupiter leaving. I'm not going to lie. But I obviously gained a lot of valuable experience, work experience, lots of birth charts while Jupiter was in my 6th house. And, you know, I'm expecting the work to actually slow down a bit when Jupiter goes into my 7th house. But that would be nice because, you know, maybe I'll have more time to enjoy myself and socialize more. So Aquarius risings, Jasmina, Jupiter is going to be in their 5th house.
Yes, I love that. It's Aquarius is also an air sign, so that's a nice of energy. 5th house is about fun. So Gemini, what is Gemini? It's playful, it's cheerful, it's curious. You know, so all this exploring your creative side, exploring your hobbies, or how you want to have fun. What is joy to you? Jupiter is joy. You know, so think about that. For Aquarius, they have a Pluto in their 1st house. They're going through some transformations, you know, depending on the grid. So this can be like a nice fresh breath air of doing something that can, you know, that can be more fun and joyful the next year, and finding that creative expression. If you wanna have kids, this is a good opportunity to get pregnant, of course. If you don't, then know that you take care of that.
Yeah, use discernment, as Andre would say. And as well, Jasmina, would you agree that it's like a lovely time to rediscover childhood passions? You know, maybe you haven't created since you were a child.
Yes. Go back, exactly, because it is Aquarius loves, but it's also in their mind. Aquarius are very in their mind, and you know they're very intellectual. So think about going a little bit from your mind and just be playful like a kid. Go, as I said, go back to your childhood, explore that one, be more childlike, a little more playful. Find something that you always wanted to do that never had time.
And lots of opportunity for love, romance, and dating for any Aquarius risings that are single as well with this transit.
Also use the servant.
Sorry?
Also use the servant who you interact with.
Yeah, use caution, guys.
Yeah. The Art of Astrology said, the Art of Astrology asked a valid question. The 5th house is a sexy house also. It is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
but I do think that Scorpio rising kind of trumps Aquarius rising in the sex factors this year.
It's about flirting. You know, the art of flirting. You know, Aquarius can be very intellectual and detached. Just get out of your mind and flirt, and just do something. You know. I know maybe it's not in their nature, but try.
Exactly. Exactly. Pisces rising, Andre. How beautiful it is naturally fallen to you in the 4th house. Am I right? Yes.
Yep. 4th house of parents, home, family, the foundations, the early childhood experiences that formed our subconscious. That's super great. It's gonna be fun. But Jupiter is again, he wants to help. So yeah, some things going on with parents, specifically fathers. I know that there might be a bone of contention there. I see the 4th house as fathers. It works out that way. Some people see it as mothers. It is really just the parents. I just like to say it's the parents. So some kind of loudspeaker on the parents of the family, of people that raised you, that had a hand in creating that foundational soil of your subconscious, which things grow from. The private life, as opposed to the 10th house of public reputation and notoriety. Some kind of invitation to get back to privacy a little bit. I'm still going to be putting out content, y'all, I promise. Like, don't worry about that. But it's just a necessity to get back to the roots, to look at where you came from in a philosophical light and be like, wow, look how far I've come. There's been a lot that's gone on, but man, I can really appreciate and be content with where I'm at now. So that's my thought on that. If you guys have thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, reconnecting with your ancestors. I often see an expansion of the home, you know, like the physical home, like you put on a little kitchen extension or something, or, you know, the family expands, you know, there's a new member of the family, someone joins the family, that can happen. But I do see the fourth house being so close to the IC angle as, you know, your innermost self. So it's quite an introspective transit in that sense that, you know, your inner beliefs and inner values are kind of coming up for expansion and review, maybe. Jasmina, what are your thoughts on that Jupiter fourth house transit?
Yeah, you covered it all, guys. I just want to mention one thing. Think about how can you, it's going to be, Jupiter is going to help them with nurturing, you know, how they nurture themselves, how they feel nurtured. So Jupiter is going to give them a little bit of feeling good about that. In that sense.
Nice.
That's all I'm going to add. And you covered it all.
Yeah, and you know, Cosmic Navigator mentioned that the fourth house can be an indicator of sleep as well, which I hadn't considered before. So it might be that, you know, Pisces risings might need a bit more rest. There could be a lot of kind of fruitful energy from resting more. And I think you alluded to that anyway, Andre, when you said about Jupiter and Taurus slowing you down a bit, you know, it's interesting.
Yep. Yes.
Guys, it has been, how Jupiterian has this been? Oh my God. We have been talking for well over an hour, which is actually quite good for me. You know, normally I've had lives gone on 2 hours. So, I mean, I am impressed that I kept it to this time frame. I absolutely loved chatting all things Jupiter. I just love your insights. Both of you have given me so much food for thought on Jupiter and Gemini. And I think there was a lovely balance between, you know, Mount Olympus and Hades, so to speak, you know, positive and negative things that we're going to have when Jupiter ingresses into the sign of Gemini. It's certainly going to be exciting. And on the world stage, Andre, I know there's like huge energy in America this summer, this fall, as you say, stateside. So we are going to be watching it with anticipation, this Jupiter and Gemini transit. I'm sure, you know, if nothing else, we're going to learn so much about the nature of Jupiter and Gemini alone, just from watching the mundane astrology. Before I wrap things up, I'd love to hear if you guys have any particular offers you want to promote or anything you're running at the moment on your website. And Jasmina, how about you?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. It was lovely always to talk to you guys. I always learn something new. I love it. You can find, I'm available for readings. You can find me on my website, jasminabrozovicastrology.com. Subscribe to my YouTube. I'm going to do all my lives, all my recordings there. And also, if you go to my website and subscribe to my newsletter, I'm going to have a free gift, a free guide coming up soon, around end of the month. So be sure to subscribe. That's all.
Oh, that is lovely, Jasmine, and we look forward to that. Andre, what about you?
Really the same old right now. I put out content. I do offer readings. Please send me a DM. I don't have a website as of yet, but I will soon. If you would like a reading, please send me a DM. I do tarot readings as well. So a little bit of everything, whatever you're feeling. So yes, Hermits Path Astrology. I put out content about transits and natal placements and all that stuff. So yeah, send me a DM.
Definitely, guys, check out Jasmina and Andre. I mean, for myself, I'm promoting my shadow sign reading at the moment. It's a much shorter format to what I am used to doing. I'm used to doing very long form readings, but with Jupiter moving into Gemini, I definitely want to get into the energy of, you know, making the content bite-sized, manageable, and just my workload as well a bit more manageable. So I'm pushing the shorter readings because there's a lot to be gained from, you know, small little bite-sized amounts rather than sitting down and listening to a 2-hour reading. So if anybody is looking for, you know, some insight on their shadow sign or even just a short form reading with some advice, my Astro Express and my shadow sign readings are 2 accessibly priced readings that I am marketing the living daylights out of for Jupiter in Gemini. I apologize to everyone in advance that has to endure my very intense marketing for the next month, but you know, that's the Mars retrograde in Capricorn. It has to be done.
It's
guys
great.
it's been lovely to have you all. It's so nice to chat again and to do this round table. I absolutely loved it, and I think the format of 3 is nice too, you know, really lovely. Thanks to all,
Agreed.
all our viewers who joined us. All that's left for us to say is that astrology is complicated, but if you follow us, it doesn't have to be. Bye, everyone, and talk to you soon.
Bye. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.
Bye.